Welcome to 247 Real Talk. I'm your host, Julian Perry, and it's once again my pleasure to be here with you for another week and another episode of the 247 Real Talk podcast. I hope you had a good week since we last spoke. I tricked you a little bit. For those of you who get the text message or WhatsApp notification for my podcast, I changed when I sent it out to see how many of you would notice. I did notice that some of the viewership went down initially. I haven't checked it recently, but I'm hoping that if that's the case, that you are actually subscribed and you do get the notifications whenever a new episode comes out, which is usually, at least up to now, 5 a.m. every Friday morning. It is Thursday, let me get this right, August 21st, 18, 19, 20th, 21st, yes, I'm counting my fingers. I normally record on Wednesdays again, as you know, but once again this week has been a rough week, and we're going to talk about it a little bit, and I'm going to sort of use it as the lead into my episode for this week. We're going to talk a bit about where you are. We're going to talk a little bit about life, and we're going to talk a little bit of, sort of spinning off of my personal experience that may mirror some of the struggles that we and you face every day in life. So sit back, relax, and I'll be right back with you. Alright, so I'm right back with you. If you hear any sounds, like I said, everything is contained in this studio, and generally depending on which camera and which mic and where I'm sitting determines a lot of times what kind of feedback you get in the audio. I see that I am slightly out of the shot here, and that may be because the camera is tracking, so give me a moment to get that right. Maybe that'll work better for you. Maybe I won't go out of the shot so much. I think that'll do it. So, some of my cameras I have tracking on. I turn it on and off based on what I'm recording. Sometimes I'm recording YouTube content and I'm moving around. I have the camera track me so that I'm always in frame, and if I forget to turn it off when I'm doing a stationary like the podcast, then when I moved over to switch scenes between the music and the live, it moved. Anyway, so how was your week? It's hard for me to sit here and adequately describe what's going on in my world at my job with that new manager I told you about, and the pressure and the unnecessary torment that we are experiencing. It is all unnecessary. It is someone who has been ordained by man with a certain amount of power in the job. She is trying to, she's had a history of always being like this, and wherever she's gone, there have been massive complaints about her. But in certain organizations and in certain work environments, there are people who are so focused on money and power that they make sure that the group of people around them will deliver by any means necessary. And that means if it means going down through an organization, targeting people, crushing people person by person. There's probably about 700 people in my division. And every single person almost is feeling it. And when I say every single person, out of the 700 and something, I would easily say trickling down the line, even to the amount of work, the demands of the timeline, to the point where people like me sometimes work till 8, 10 o'clock at night. I don't get paid overtime. It's just on my time. Just giving free time with no kind of appreciation. When you're done with that, and it's not even when you're done with one task, you're on to the next. It's in the middle of one task, it's on to the next. I'll give an example of how my day started today. I started at 9 because I usually start at 7, but now I've been mandated to start at 9 at my level of management. I started at 9. I started doing a whole bunch of things that are required for me to do and approvals in the morning to get my other team's work going. I got a call from the top, from this manager I've been referring to included, that they wanted to change something that's it's millions of dollars worth of something, and they wanted new information within 2 hours. Now, for me to get my team and myself to do that will require us to jump right on it, and there are few people involved that are outside of my organization, so that we can't even control whether they get back to us and they can get what we need in 2 hours. While I'm jumping to get that done, I notice my phone ringing, and I get pulled into a meeting for an hour and a half that I didn't say one word in, just because they can, and they mention my name in the meeting, but no contribution from me. I got pulled in for an hour and a half. Mind you, they wanted something in 2 hours. So I'm also typing in Teams to another manager saying, I'm going to get one of the managers who reports to me to get on this right away. As I send him a message, he says, wait a minute, I just got pulled into the meeting you did. It gets layered. No point me giving you all the details, but the point I'm making is these people have a million things to get done. They don't realize the people that are supporting them are the ones who they need to stand up for. They don't say we need to prioritize things. It's simply inhumane to ask someone to do this on their own time, getting up early, going to bed late, spending hours without pay, and then if they're not delivering it, even though that's the level of effort it takes, then you threaten their jobs and their livelihood and threaten to reprimand them. I've got 34 years in on this current job without a single reprimand and dozens of accolades, dozens of rewards and awards. None of that matters. They just deliver. They're trying to show and make a statement that they can do it better than the person that was doing it before. And the people above them are seeing the results, so I believe the people above them are supporting them because they're saying, hey, this person's getting results. They have no understanding of the carnage they're leaving behind. People are exhausted. People are desperate. If jobs were easy to find, there'd be an exodus that would be biblical. So that long intro comes to my thoughts for this week. I've been getting almost daily emails from PR people, or not PR, from reps who represent various celebrities and various motivational speakers and these types of people who are looking to come on my podcast. Despite the fact that I constantly say, please like and subscribe and share, because I notice while I have thousands upon tens of thousands of audio downloads, my YouTube subscribers, the increments are very slow and long in between. But yet I'm getting all these different public figures blowing up my inbox wanting to come on my show. And one of the reasons I told all of them, I'm taking a pause on live guests. And I'll explain this to you because you are my intimate guests, my intimate listeners, my supporters. People often want to come on your show to get their message out and to get to your base. But oftentimes their message is not in line with what your show or my show is all about. My show is about motivation. Now, a lot of these people, the motivational speakers and others they're representing, the PR and media kit they sent me, suggests that many of them will be a fit for this show. But I'm not ready for that yet because, as you know, I was doing my show and then I pivoted because I was about to end the show. And throughout that process, I learned about a new me and a new me to share with you. And that's from a personal me. And I recognize that I may gain subscribers and I may lose some, because to deal with me personally means to deal with someone who is inspirational, or who is spiritual, I should say. Someone who, no matter the circumstances, never tries to... I do my best to keep my grip tightly on my faith and on God. And so, as I think about my situation and my desperation for something to change, My pastor, an amazing man, sent me this morning. As he sends Monday through Saturday, he sends an inspirational quote and a prayer. And this one, the quote said, "What would you change if you trusted God's rhythm more than you trusted your own rush?" I'm going to read that to you again. It's by someone by the name of Kenny Chin. I want to make sure I give credit to the author, Kenny Chin, Chinn, Kenny, Chinn. It says, "What would you change if you trusted God's rhythm more than you trusted your own rush?" And I sat for a while and I thought about what does that mean in the world that I'm dealing with right now. And understand, in many cases, we see things or we get inspirational messages if we look for that food in the morning. I'm sorry, my phones are going crazy. It usually happens anytime I'm trying to record a podcast and I forget to mute everything. Nevertheless, we'll keep going. So in the mornings when I prepare for my day, I get a lot of different inspirational food. And in that food, it always seems like there's some passage or something that's relevant to me. And I said, God is talking to me, but he's also sent these people in their sharing of inspiration and encouragement and motivation and all the things they're trying to do to keep us encouraged in a time that's so difficult. It applies to so many people, and you can digest it and receive it any way it fits you. And people say, well, God can't be talking to you, but yes, he can. He can be talking to millions or billions of his children at one time, because he sees that we are so different, yet we are so much alike. So when I looked at my situation, I said, what would you change if I trusted God's rhythm more than my own rush? So let's go back to my story in the beginning. My rush is to get rid of the stress and the oppression I'm feeling in my work environment. My rush is either to be out from under the I'm going to use a very derogatory term, so the slavery and the inhumanity of this manager, either by me moving or them moving. One of us has got to pivot in some way. My rush is to help my staff members, my team members. I have a large staff, over 80 people, and that's just me, to not be under the oppression anymore. My rush is to get to a place where I wake up in the morning and I get ready and I come down to my office and I sit in front of my computer and I feel a joy to start my job. The joy that I used to feel, the joy that I felt. I mean, I've had my ups and downs over the years in my job. I've had some really low moments, but I've had more high moments than low. If I were to quantify them out of the 34 years, I would easily say 26 out of 34 have been wonderful years. And the remaining 8 years, you break them up in periods of time where you've dealt with some difficult things. Not always an oppressive boss. Sometimes you've dealt with injustices that have held you down. But eventually God has always opened the door, and I've always been able to walk through it to the next level. And maybe even though I can't see it, the timing, God's timing, was perfect because he aligned everything so that I had 26 out of 34 years that are amazing. I sometimes try to reflect on what my father tells me. My father is 93 years old. He's had an amazing career in the legal field, retiring at the top of the legal field as a judge in the highest court in the land. And he always tells me, he says, I don't understand what you're going through, sons. For my entire career, 60-something years or more, I've never gone through what you're experiencing. And at first I said, well, Dad, you're lucky. But then I realized, no, you're not lucky. But you were lucky in the sense that you experienced that, but you also experienced that in a time when life was simpler. When we didn't have all this technology. When I was a kid growing up, they didn't even have TV. It wasn't around in some of the countries I grew up in. And in the afternoons, I would get on my bicycle as a young child and I go ride and meet my friends. And I would say, "Hey, Dad, hey, Mom, I'm going for a ride. I'll be back later." And they say, "Okay, be careful." They had no idea when I rode down the road and turned the corner where I was going, who I was going with. But we were in such a time of innocence and integrity that they knew that when they saw the sun start to go down and the way the lights used to be back then, it would start with a glow, a low glow. And as it got darker, the light would get brighter. And when that low glow started and there was some sort of point where they would meet in darkness versus brightness, there I would be, pulling up at the gate of the house. I'd be home. No cell phone, no way for them to reach me. But in those communities that were much closer knit, and wherever you're going was somebody always knew you, and you get home safely every night. And they, like I said, when you left your house, they trusted you, that they raised you a certain way. And the majority of us, yes, there are outliers. There are people who strayed and went on their own. But the majority of us who are still friends, 50-something years plus later, the majority of us grew up the same, became the same, lived to this day with the same discipline of a time when it was so pure and innocent. I often tell my kids, when they're talking about their tablet and it's not working, I said, when we got up in the morning, we were excited to get, and this is going to make some of you laugh, and some of you who have never heard of this are going to think, what? We used to save the tires from cars, the tires from bicycles. I'm talking about the rubber part, just the tire. And you would get a stick, and you'd walk down the road with your friends, rolling the tire, hitting it with a stick. And your tire could be whatever it was. You might put your name on it. You might mark it or whatever. And you all be hanging out at the block or something and say, "Let's go to the store." And there would be, I wish I could have a photo or a video from those times, because if you could picture it in your mind, there's a bunch of kids walking down the street hitting the tires with a stick. And that was our fun, our vehicles. And we would go to the store and everybody would park their tire with their stick up against the front of the store, go in the store and buy gum or candy or whatever at like a nickel. And you got a lot. And you're going back home in the blazing hot sun. The roads were made of tar and we would have no shoes on, barefoot. And we were used to that. I'm telling you all this to make you understand that while to some of you who have lived your entire life in the first world country, you don't really understand the beauty and the simplicity and the innocence and everything else that came with a life that was void of the influences today, was void of the pressures of today. Those influences and that greed and that rush and force towards capitalism and force toward materialism, that level of influence has now overshadowed who we were created to be. Many people have decided that because their inhumane and egregious actions have seemed, at least momentarily, but it's their life, their present, to have netted them big houses and big cars and big bank accounts and power, what they call power, to inflict hurt and pain and sadness and destruction upon the lives of people. There are people out there who joyfully watch someone lose their home to foreclosure and go live in an apartment while and then they will buy the house up from under that person and do some modifications, sell it to a profit, and that person who lost their home and their memories that may have been all they had, that's just a number or a line on their spreadsheet. And when you recognize where the world has become, and when people have decided that because they haven't seen or don't recognize the actions of their creator in the midst of their chaos or their what they would call their successful lives, with which, if they ever understood, they're meaningless. in the bigger picture of why we're here and where we go after here, what is truly tangible is not what we can feel in material things. And whenever we struggle in life, even the person who has strayed furthest away from who they were created to be, put them in a decision where they're facing the loss of their life. Put them in a situation where fear has overcome them. And I guarantee you that 9 out of those 10 people, when they face a situation where all their powers are gone, even momentarily, a single second in their lives of true panic, what do they say? Oh God, help me. The same God who they have paid no attention to, who has no presence in the life they present to the world, in their actions, in the way they treat people, in a life that they have built that's void of kindness and humanity, that's the first thing they scream, oh God. What do you think? Do you think that in life, when we've heard of situations, unfortunately, where there's been a tragedy, like a corporate plane or whatever that crashed or whatever, something that I have to reflect on, when these people realized that it was over, I'm very, very sure that almost 100% of those people were praying to the same creator that they ignored during a life that may have, if they had paid attention to, that might have led them in a different direction, that they were never on that plane. I'm saying that to make a point. Let's go back to what I read. What would you change if you trusted God's rhythm more than you trusted your own rush? That's profound to me. Because in the midst of what I keep telling you week after week of the oppression that's getting worse and worse in my worst environment, in my work environment, each morning when I get up and I read Philippians 4 verses 6, 7, I believe, do not be anxious, but in all things in prayer and supplication, bring your concerns, petitions to God, and may the peace that surpasses all understanding guard your mind and your hearts. There's many versions of how it's recited, but you get my point. When I start my day, where I uplift myself with my beliefs and the presence of Almighty in this room right where I record, when I even start this podcast episode, I do everything in my life with first asking for Him to be with me, so that whatever comes out of my mouth and whatever I impart or whatever I record is inspired by Him who created me. If I could truly get in the rhythm that I need to be, that I strive to be with God's rhythm, then I would no longer be telling you so much about my rush for relief. Because that peace that would guard my mind and my heart will be so overwhelming that nothing this manager is doing will be able to penetrate me enough to make a difference, and nothing they're doing to inflict damage would actually create damage. What am I saying to you? I'm saying to you that even as I come here every week and tell you who I am and whose I am, I'm still working. I'm still striving to get to a place where I'm such a level with who created me that I can be totally invested in a manner that when in the cruelty of the world that we live in wants to come crushing down on top of me, there's a layer of protection that protects me and allows me to go out and do the work of helping you. But there is something missing in my environment from work that is causing me to rush, and is causing me a bit of a struggle to be in alignment with God's rhythm. And that is, we have a situation where the oppression is widespread, and yet, as many people who are feeling the oppression, I'm struggling for people to see the power in unity. And there's the power in unity is real, but so unachievable sometimes, because people, even those who are wishing for change, for better, have got all sorts of motives and ulterior motives that are not in alignment with God's rhythm. They're not doing it for the better of the unified group. They still have their personal needs of capitalism and that evil eye that's looking to get something out of a situation that's self-serving. And so in many cases like this one, even though I speak to many people in the organization who are saying they feel the same, I'm alone in a crowded room. And I'm struggling every day and every night when I pray and every morning when I get up and every time I get in my truck and I drive to the doctor's office and I put on the gospel, I put on, Lord, do it for me, or so many other gospels that I love. It's all an effort for me to get closer and closer to God's rhythm. Every single one of you who's listening to me, if you close your eyes, if you breathe slowly, if you manage to clear your mind and feel what's around you, not the material things, but what spiritually is around you, what's in the space around you, you will feel a rhythm, because I have. And it's a rhythm I chase, but I can't quite catch because of my imperfections. But I'm saying this to you because the day I sit before you and tell you, I got it. I'm in rhythm with my Creator 100%. You will ask me, but what happened to that problem that was oppressing you? And I will sit there and tell you, I have the peace that is guarding my mind and my heart, the peace that surpasses all understanding. It is now so strong that no matter what they throw at me, it can't even reach me, much less bounce off. No matter what they try. And then I'll be on the journey even more to impart this on someone else. All of you, all of us deserve to live a life where we go out, we work, we have our ambitions, our goals, we achieve them. And along that journey, we help people up. Along that journey, when we're faced with decisions, we choose the one that is most humane, not most self-serving. I'm hanging in there because I am pursuing hard God's rhythm in my life. And I'm asking Him at the same time to protect me on this journey. And on the days when I can't take it anymore, I say, God, help me. Give me that peace of heart and mind and body and soul so that I can go another day until my timing, your timing are one. And then I will come back in front of this camera and I'll tell you, it's done. And all that I dreamed for, because I was seeking and pursuing God's rhythm, has come to life. And this is not just something for me to live by. It's something that can help you. For those of you who listen to my podcast, who love the inspiration, but you don't believe in your Creator, I'd say this to you. If you're still here listening to me, then you have some question or doubt in your mind that there may be a God if you don't believe. Take the time to find a quiet place. Go on a beach. Go somewhere where no one else is around. Close your eyes. Clear your mind of all the earthly challenges. Listen to the nothingness around you. And when you've achieved that, everything and every question you have about who you are and whose you are will be answered. I'll say this to you as I leave you this week. I will say the prayer that my pastor sent to me along with the quote. Here's the quote again. What would you change if you trusted God's rhythm more than you trusted your own rush? And I'm going to plagiarize, not in a bad way, the prayer. I'm going to share. Let me use the word share because plagiarize is not a good word. The prayer that my pastor sent me, in the hopes that now I have sent it beyond his audience and I've put it out there in the world, your world, so that those of you who don't know him, who don't receive this every day, through him, through our stretching of our hearts and stretching of his word, so that more people will receive the peace that surpasses all understanding and receive the power that there is behind positive words, actions, and intentions, so their lives may grow and they may get enough strength to go another day. Lord, I live in the space between promise and fulfillment. Teach me what it means to wait expectantly, to pray fervently, to live purposefully. Help me to have urgency, but not to try to hurry you along. I'll say that again. Help me to have urgency, which is what I have, but not to try to hurry you along. Give me the cadence to get into the God rhythm and the flexibility for serendipitous moments to be embraced. Remind me, gracious God, that your wisdom and timing are perfect. Bless me with hopefulness today. Amen. I thank my pastor, Pastor Patrick O'Connor, for the amazing man of God he is, that he not only inspires us daily with these passages, but he inspires me to inspire you. Take what I've left with you and use it to have an amazing week, an amazing weekend, to tackle all the challenges in your life. And we will continue to uplift each other until we get where we intended to be and in alignment with God's rhythm. Until the next time, please take care of yourselves and each other.